Nelson Mandela once said, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." Nelson Mandela was born July 18, 1918, in Mvezo, South Africa, and died in Johannesburg on December 5, 2013. Throughout his life, Mr. Mandela played a major role in the quest for civil rights and equality for his people in South Africa. Along the way, he was influenced by many other civil rights activists, most notably Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Nelson Mandela's journey to create equality for all of South Africa began at an early age. At the age of 12, Mr. Mandela's dream to free his people from their struggle began. In 1944, Mandela and Oliver Tambo founded the African National Congress Youth League. The mission of this organization was to rally the black youth of South Africa against the racial segregation that permeated the country. They did so by boycotting, striking, and not cooperating with government officials. They also were aiming to kill racism, allow full citizenship to people, redistribute land, bestow trade union rights, and provide free and compulsory education for all children. Their quest suffered a serious setback in 1948 when South Africa's all-white political party, also known as the National Party, came to power. The party's first order of business was to institute strict segregation laws that significantly favored the white minority. This became known throughout the world as apartheid. Mandela's focus became to overthrow this symbolism of hatred. Because of Mandela's goal of equality for all South African people and the drastic measures he took to call attention to this injustice, he was incarcerated for more than 27 years. Mandela's first stint in prison happened in 1963. Mandela incited different groups to go on strike to publicize their displeasure with apartheid. In addition, he left the country without permission. Because of this, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Later in 1964, while serving his term, he was put on trial once again. The charges this time were sabotage and conspiracy to overthrow the South African government. He admitted to sabotaging the government in order to help his people, but denied plotting to overthrow the government. During this trial, he was sentenced to life in prison, but was let out in 1982. He spent these 19 of his 27 years in Robben Island prison off Cape Town, a prison noted for its harsh conditions and brutal punishment, which included hard labor and torture. Nelson Mandela became president May 10, 1994. He was elected during the first ever quote-unquote real election South Africa ever had. He was also the first black president of South Africa. The primary factor in his winning the election was the decades of hard labor, endeavoring to create equality for all people regardless of the color of their skin. Blacks were allowed to vote for the first time, and the overwhelming majority voted for Nelson Mandela. During his presidency in 1995, he established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, also known as the TRC, which investigated human rights violations under apartheid. And he introduced housing, education, and economic development initiatives designed to improve the living standards of the country's black population. When his term as president ended June 14, 1999, he decided not to run for a second term. Soon after leaving office, Mandela retired from active politics, but maintained a strong international presence as an advocate of peace, reconciliation, and social justice. As a result of his hard work and dedication, Mr. Mandela was able to realize his dream of equality for all of South Africa. Because of his many accomplishments and the positive effect he had on many people, Mandela received many awards and accolades. In 1993, Mr. Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, along with being named Time Magazine's Man of the Year. He was also presented with the United States Presidential Medal of Freedom by George W. Bush in 2002. Mr. Mandela's life's work can be summed up by the words he spoke many years ago. "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal which I am prepared to die."